in the market for a new Mustang, specifically the 2024 Mustang S650, I'm going to give you a few reasons why you should stay away from the S650. Possibly get the S550. So I've driven the S650 for about 10,000-ish miles now, about 8 or 9 months of ownership. I also did have an S550 too, and I put like 30,000 miles on that car. So I'm going to give you a few reasons why you should not get the S650. A big concern I've actually been noticing about this car is that the cooling on this car is very non-existent, pretty much. I don't know, I don't have the performance pack, so I don't have the extra transmission cooler and I don't have the extra oil cooler, which I'm kind of regretting of not getting a performance pack now because it would be really nice to get those two extra things. So like I was saying, on the performance packs, you do get an oil cooler, an extra oil cooler, right here through this plastic backing. And then you also get an extra transmission cooler at the bottom over here, which obviously I do not have those. But why I'm saying I wish I did have those is because say I'm on the back roads just cruising, or it's like 80 or 90 degrees out and I'm just cruising on the highway at like steady 80, 85 miles an hour. My oil temps are at 220, which isn't hot. I know it's not hot, but say I do one pull, it's at 240. If I do another pull, like a few minutes later, we're at 260. And then once the car hits 260 degrees, oil temp starts pulling timing and it's slower, obviously. You go past 260 a little bit. What I've noticed on my car and on other cars is that the shift points are very short. It doesn't go all the way to 7K RPM. So like I was saying, it cuts down the shift points. So instead of shifting at 7K RPM, it will shift at 6K or 5K RPM because it needs to cool down. So what I was saying about the oil temperature is that I was barely messing around with the car. I've been driving it for like 5 minutes. After like an hour of it cooling down, the oil temp's at 210 already. Like obviously that's not bad. I know it's not bad, but it heats up quick because I'll literally do like a little pull here. And now the oil temp's at 226 just from that one little pull. And if I do another one, it will ease 228 already. I'm off the gas. I've been letting it coast. But if I do another pull, we'll be at like 240 degrees already, and that's what I'm just talking about with that. And the trans temp went up like 5 degrees. I'm not too worried about that, but it's just the oil temp goes up so quick. I wish I had that extra oil cooler, and this road's trash. I'm turning around. So like we just did that pull. I've been cruising for like 2 minutes, let it cool off. We're gonna do another small pull because there was like a cop up there just passed, but after this, do like a small pull. Not even full throttle, but we're at 233, but if I was like watt 235 now, if I was watt, wide open throttle, easily would be at 240, maybe even 250s. It just goes up so quick. Now the extra transmission cooler, like I said, it's located like right up here. Obviously this still has a transmission cooler, but it's located under the car, like on the transmission, but then you got an extra one up front. So you don't have one if you have the non-performance pack up front. Now I've seen my transmission temp get up to about 220 degrees, which isn't super hot. That's with some hard, decent driving. My S550 was a non-performance pack as well, but I did back-to-back runs at the drag strip on that car, and I never saw the transmission get over 201 degrees. I never saw it get past that point. On this car, it's obviously a little different. It's a different car. 10 speed's a little bit more finely tuned. I'm not worried about it being 220 degrees. So another thing I've noticed about this car, specifically with the 10 speed, again, this kind of goes back with the 10 speed, is that if you're doing a watt pull, a wide open throttle pull, this car in 6th gear, it will shift at 6,500 RPMs, and that is how it is. This was how it was on the S550 too, so they didn't change that with the new generation. Tuning would obviously be able to make it go past that, but even if you're in the manual paddle mode, not get it to shift past 6,500 RPMs in 6th gear. For some odd reason, so it protects the motor or the transmission or something. It was like I said, it was like that on the S550s as well, and it's still a thing on the S650s, unfortunately. A big issue that's probably turning away tons and tons of buyers is that these things are not tunable. So we cannot tune the Gen 4 Coyote 5.0 engine in this S650 Mustang. I don't know when tuning is going to be available. I think groups are saying like in the next year or so. I think the C8 Corvettes just got unlocked. Like when did those come out? 2018, 2019, or 2020? I don't really remember. I don't know. A few years since those things just got unlocked now. So I don't know when these things are going to be tunable. Obviously, you can tune them though. Ford did give Whipple access, so you can throw a fat 3.0 Whipple on here, get a tune from Whipple. It's out of the box tune, so it's not like your super spicy tune. It's an out of the box tune, and that's pretty much all that you can do with it. So I mean, people are making like 900 horsepower to the wheels with the Whipple kit in their tune, but that is probably one of the biggest things that's turning away most of the buyers, is that these things are untunable for now. So one of the first issues that I've encountered with this car, it's pretty consistent issue. It's kind of buggy. It's in the interior actually, and it's with the Apple CarPlay. It could be fixed in a future update, but Ford's slacking, so they're dragging their pants. You recording? So what I'm talking about with the Apple CarPlay, that this could be fixed in a future update, is that it's really buggy sometimes. Like, I'll start the car, phone will wirelessly connect to Apple CarPlay, which I like the wireless Apple CarPlay. The music will just play, but there's no sound. Like, I'll have the volume all the way up and it just will not play any sound. So I have to hold down buttons or turn off the car completely and let it die and have it reset. I have to reboot the system pretty much for the Apple CarPlay to start playing music again. And then after I do that, when I back the car out of the garage or the parking space or whatever, the parking lines aren't there. And I'd have to turn off the car again. I mean, I can park without the lines. It's not like a big deal. It's just like an inconvenience. Like, why does that happen? I reboot the system because of this issue, and then it gives me another issue. So that's just kind of like an inconvenience. Like I said, it could be fixed with a future update, but Ford's dragging their balls. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, what the? Like, it doesn't know what it's doing. Nice. Legit, nothing is working. Volume knob's not working. Steering wheel controls aren't working. If I go back to click the pony button, it's still not loaded up. I started the car like 2 minutes ago. Let's go home. Frozen again. Oh my gosh, this is probably the worst it's been. Gotta fertilize the plants. Sorry guys, slight intermission here. So another issue, it's not really an issue, but it's just more about the quality control, is that the plastics on the S650, they're just like cheap. Everyone praises that the S650 interiors are so much better, which they are built better, but the plastics they use are just far more cheaper. Come over to this side skirt right here. Obviously I'd be careful when I get out, but it's just scuffed and it's permanent. I've tried washing it off, I've tried scrubbing it off. There's a ceramic coat on there, and it's just, the plastics are just far more cheaper. Like, I put my foot against the S550 side skirt and it never scuffed or anything. It's not like I wear steel toe boots and I wear these crappy Air Force Ones and Jordans sometimes. Just a light scratch scuffs it up. And plus the interior plastic, they're kind of cheap. I wish Ford just used better plastic. Now we're gonna talk about the transmission. On the S650, I did get the 10-speed automatic transmission, so the 10R80. Now I also had the 10-speed on the S552, and that used to clunk and downshift, and supposedly that was normal for that car. On the S650, it is far more smoother, I have enjoyed, but what I've noticed is when I'm going up like big hills, 10-speed will be in the wrong gear, and it's not giving me enough power to go up the hill at a reasonable amount of speed. I've noticed that I've had to mash the pedal a decent amount for it to drop a gear and then go up the hill at a reasonable amount of speed, almost like too fast. That's a thing that I've kind of noticed about the 10-speed, is that it's in the wrong gear sometimes, especially going up hills. Another thing that is kind of annoying on these cars, it's under the hood, so we're gonna pop the hood. So the thing I'm talking about, if you spend all your money on the S650, your life savings, and you have $0 your name after you bought this car, you're gonna be spending some money on these air filters, and they're like $150 for 2 of them. Obviously I have the RTR grill, so you have free air going straight into the intake. That is also how it is on the Dark Horse. It just has a fat hole right here and goes directly into the intake. It also is like that on the GT, but on the GT, it's kind of like, it's still a big opening, but it's kind of like blocked off just a little bit. Still will be spending some money on these air filters. There's like 10,000 miles on this car, like I said, and I probably should have swapped them out like 2,000 or 3,000 miles ago. So here's one. This thing used to be bright yellow. It's a lot dirtier in person, but underneath, it's where it's super dirty. You can't really see it, but it's like black underneath because obviously you have the airflow and it's sucking it in from the bottom of the air filter. But that's just typical maintenance, like oil changes. That's not a huge issue. Now this thing has really been stressing me out, like, about this car, is that it doesn't come with a Whipple from the factory. You have to spend an extra $10,000 to $12,000 for a Whipple on this car, and it should just come with a factory, especially the Dark Horse. Kind of just wasting money if you're gonna buy a Dark Horse. Yes, they look cool. It comes with some suspension upgrades, but you can easily upgrade that for less than half of what the Dark Horse cost. So those are a few things that I pretty much don't like about the S650, and that maybe it will make you want to stay away from the S650 and maybe go with the S550 or get a different car like a Camaro, or, I hate to say it, but a Mopar. I wouldn't get one of those over this. Those are a few things, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and comment what you want to see next.